Calaroga Shark Media.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac, and I know that's a hacky clip to play, but that's how I feel. Oh, and welcome to today's Daily Comedy News. You know, Thursday had a nice normal show, got to talk about some other stuff, but nope. We're going to talk about the Riyadh Comedy Festival and all the spillback and all of it. Let's start with Joe Rogan. His guest is Bryan Callen. The discussion goes to Marc Maron, because you remember Marin called some people out, and as we're going to learn today, some comedians seem to have problems with Marc Maron. Alrighty. This first clip, I have made edits for language and for pacing. I have left some S words in, or the clip just won't work. It's just the way Joe Rogan speaks. So if you're offended by the S word, go do something else, but you're probably okay with it. Here's Joe Rogan.
Marc Maron, don't say it.
I mean, I don't get it. You know, I'm like, I don't know.
I get it. He's sad. He's sad. He wants other people to hurt. That's what it is.
It's just not charitable. It's
also, he's pathologically jealous. Like, he's like literally mentally ill. Like, do you understand? Mark, when he first started, when he was just first coming up, was friends with Mitch Hedberg, and then Mitch Hedberg hit, and he couldn't be friends with him anymore.
Really?
Yep. Stop being his friend. Same thing with Louis C.K. Louis C.K. and him were tight. Louis blew up. Mark didn't. He had to hate him, and he turned on him. Talked shit about him openly. And then he became successful. And the years where Mark was successful were the best years of Mark, because Mark was fun. Mm-hmm. Like, I've had ups and downs with Mark. I've gone through this with him like 3 or 4 different times, where he gets upset at me, and then we talk, and then, are we good? We're good. Like, he likes to do that. He likes to talk shit about you, and then you confront him, and he says, you're right.
Joe then talked about when his own podcast began to take off.
And with me, my relationship with him was really complicated, because when I was an open micer, I was 21 years old, and I was just starting out. Mark gave me a compliment once that really helped me. He came up to me, and he goes, hey, man, you're really funny. He says, keep doing what you're doing. Don't listen to anybody else. Just keep doing what you're doing. I was like, wow, thank you.
That's his best side. That's the good side.
It is not all bad.
No.
And he was a young guy back then, right? So he was just being cool. And then over time, obviously, I became more famous than him and more successful than him. And he does not like that. He hates that. And the only time we were cool was when Mark was number one. So Mark, the podcast took off, and you got to realize it took off when he was deep into his 40s, right? And it was the number one podcast in the country. And he was on Rolling Stone magazine, and, you know, he had his own show on IFC, the Marin show, and he was great. He was cool to hang with. He was fun because he didn't have to compare himself to anybody anymore, because he was a success. Like, he could look at his own success. He was doing a television show. He had his podcast. Everything was great. And we were cool. Like, we were friends.
And then Rogan got into the Trump of it all.
I started getting more successful. And then my podcast passed his. Then my podcast became number one. And then the Spotify deal. And that's when he started talking shit about me. So he started talking shit about me long before all this Trump stuff. This Trump stuff is just the most recent iteration of this bizarre thing that he does with people. And the first thing was, he had decided that I was an asshole, like, just because the podcast took off. But it was not a big deal. It was like, I'd heard people say that he was saying things. But then after the Spotify deal was a real problem. And that's when he started coming after me. And it was about vaccines. Like, so he was talking about me on stage about vaccines.
Shout out to Dylan from the Facebook group, which is Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. Please feel encouraged to join us. He let me know that Andrew Schultz talked about the Riyadh Comedy Festival on the Flagrant podcast for about 40 minutes. Now, I went to pull clips, and boy, Dylan, I don't know how you do it. I get that this show is popular, but I find these guys really, really annoying to listen to. And also, Andrew and co-host guy, could you please get through one sentence without dropping an F-bomb? You're adults. Learn how to speak. They discussed Bill Burr catching grief for playing the Riyadh Comedy Festival. Lots of edits here, all caps, lots of edits. So if Schultz and friends think this is an edited clip and I'm throwing them under the bus, I'm not throwing you under the bus. But yes, I made many edits to this clip because you guys can't get through a sentence without an F-bomb.
Well, that's the reason why we don't have any pushback, barely any pushback, is because we've never been the virtue signaling type. We've never been the ones out here. Like, there are people that are getting pushback, and like, based on some shit that they had said in the past, I kind of get it. Like, I'll be honest, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
You know, like, Burr's getting all this pushback, and it's like the first time I've seen in his career him not, like, aware of why it's happening.
Yeah.
Like, I saw him on Conan, and again, it's a clip, so I don't want to take clips out of context, but he's like, oh, these people are, like, sanctimonious. Bro, you did say that Beyonce sold out for blood money.
Yeah.
For going to, like, an oil state.
Yeah.
And then you went to an oil state. So, like, now, the criticism for that comes from other things. They're just using this as a tool of leverage against him because they're upset at him for other things. But they're not wrong that it's hypocritical to call Beyonce one thing and then you go do the same thing.
Also, at the end of that clip, though, he goes, but if I got the offer, maybe I'd do the same thing.
Exactly. So that's what they cut it out. Like,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm almost positive. That's the clip I heard. At the very end, he's like, yeah, but who knows if they gave me that? We'll see.
Then they, too, talked about Marc Maron. Apparently, they are not fans.
Marc Maron, come on this pod. Let me chop you up.
you asked him to come on, but he would never come on.
No, I asked him nicely. Now come on. I'll chop you up like you Jamal Khashoggi. No,
Come on, bro.
Come to the embassy.
Yeah.
Come to the embassy, Mark.
You don't even
Come
do
to the embassy.
Schultz can sit down if you're intimidated by it. Don't worry, I got you.
That is.
Or I know you're probably not used to talking to people of color at your shows, but just come talk to one, and then we'll handle it.
Marc Maron acting like he didn't also have a president on his podcast.
Oh, but I'm sure he asked him all about the
You know
mass
what I mean?
deportations.
Yeah.
I'm sure he asked him about drone strikes.
The
I'm sure he asked him
cages.
all the tough
like,
questions. We
you
might
didn't
also
ask
need to
any-
fact check this, but I've heard Marc Maron hasn't had a single trans person on his podcast.
Oh my God, those people he cares so deeply
Decades
about.
you've been doing this pod?
Maron don't care about nobody but himself. And anybody inside comedy knows this. It's the people outside of comedy that are like unaware of it.
Yeah.
But like, what was the whole shit with Jon Stewart?
Oh yeah, well they had now let's have fun. So let's have fun while we're talking shit, because he's been going on every pod talking shit. Jon Stewart and Marc Maron in New York decades ago were like comedy purists, hated all kinds of shit. Like they were like, we love stand-up, we love this. Jon Stewart gets a job with MTV hosting a show. Marc Maron is like, fuck you, like to his face. Makes John feel so bad about it. Affects their relationship. John ends up leaving the show for whatever reason. I don't remember if it was a moral thing or he had no offer
I think
or
didn't
whatever.
he get the opportunity to do like...
Probably got a better opportunity.
Yeah.
Guess who takes over that show?
No.
Marc Maron.
Not Mark the principled.
Oh, Mark, the principled guy. And then he tried to act like nothing happened with John. John was like, no. You don't get to be my friend after that. Then, decades later, they try to chop it up. Or they try to patch it up. And John is like, Mark is like, hey, I would love for you to come on the podcast and talk about this. John is like, look, if you want to mend the friendship, I'm open to it, but I'm not doing it to give you podcast stuff. Like, let's just talk in person and we'll have it out. Marc Maron never contacts him again.
Exactly.
Because it ain't content.
But it's like, and I understand why outsiders wouldn't know this about him, but like anybody on the inside knows.
Amy Poehler catching some grief. She had Aziz Ansari on her podcast. She apparently did not ask Aziz anything about the Riyadh Comedy Festival. As I mentioned the other day, I have not listened to the episode. I have no plans to listen to it, but I searched the transcript for the word Riyadh, the word Saudi, and the word festival. Only the word festival came up, but in context of a film festival. But that makes me think that my search was fair and that Apple Podcast transcript search was working and that Amy did not ask Aziz Ansari about the Riyadh Comedy Festival. Amy shares her podcast on YouTube. One commenter wrote, "Man, you'd think a comedian would know a thing or two about timing." Many people said they would be skipping the Ansari episode. If you Google the words Poehler and Aziz as a combination, you'll find all kinds of things. The Daily Mail called it Amy's tone-deaf podcast. One commenter wrote, "I'm going to assume this was recorded months ago for neither of you to have mentioned Saudi Arabia, but you should have at least done a quick insert at the start of the pod stating how you feel about it. Because you all should have known everyone in the comments were going to be speaking about it. I understand that he's your friend, but friends should be held accountable for their F-ups." Another wrote, "Love you, Amy, but having guests willing to take money from that Saudi butcher is incredibly tone-deaf. Not watching this garbage." Cracked.com asks the question, does Amy Poehler deserve blame for not grilling Aziz Ansari? Subheader, good hang will never be the place for tough questions. The not-so-canceled Aziz Ansari, now he's not-so-canceled twice now, just so we're keeping track, and some people think he's a douchebag. You've heard me mention that on the podcast. Some people think Aziz Ansari is a complete douchebag. He was on Theo Von's podcast. Again, I used Apple Podcasts transcript search. I searched for the words Riyadh, Saudi, and festival. Those turned up nothing. I searched for the word comedian to make sure search was working. That did show up. I did not listen to Theo yet. I'm kind of burnt out on Theo. As I shared in the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast group, this is Hollywood doing what they do. It's a big club. Like George Carlin said, it's a big club and you ain't in it. The celebrities, they all take care of each other. Go along to get along. If you take shots, you're Marc Maron and you're out there on Marc Maron Island, and he seems fine on Marc Maron Island, but you go along to get along. But these are all Hollywood people with the right agents. Theo Von's slightly an outsider, but he's in the club now. I did listen to Bill Burr's appearance on Conan O'Brien once it went out from beyond the paywall. Well discussed. Go back and listen to some previous episodes. But Bill Burr does sound very defensive and not very likable in the episode. I also have some production notes for Team Coco there. One, the audio was terrible for the first 20 minutes. I mean, just unacceptable. Conan sounding hollow. There are ways to fix the audio. Send me a note if you need tips on that. I can tell you how to fix the audio. I don't know how you guys put that out. And two, some producer needs to tell Conan next time you do a live event, you can't have Sona on mic. She cackles during the entire Bill segment, and it's too much. It's too much. Sona and the other guy, in small doses during a live read, sure. Conan needs to talk to somebody at the beginning or the end of an episode, sure. But when you've got Bill Burr there for half an hour and she's just cackling, that was misproduced. Coming to Broadway, All Out, comedy about ambition by Simon Rich. It'll be at the Nederlander Theater in New York City starting December 12th. Much like they did last year, this will have rotating groups of comedians and others in groups of 4 over a 12-week limited run. The groups will read Simon Rich's laugh-out-loud stories, this time tackling ambition, ego, envy, greed. And as the official press release jokes, basically just New Yorkers in general. All right, here's who's going to be doing this. Get out a pen. You're going to know these names. First group, Eric Andre, Abby Jacobson, Jon Stewart, and Jim Gaffigan. They all start December 12th. They exit at various times, so there'll be some overlaps in different groups. But that's the initial group. Stewart, Abby Jacobson, Gaffigan, and Eric Andre. Then some of the people that will sub in, Ben Schwartz on December 22nd, Wayne Brady and Cecily Strong on the 29th. Boy, Cecily and Wayne on stage together, that's a great combo. Birbiglia on the 13th. Then on the 20th, it looks like we get a full swap. Heidi Gardner, Jason Mantzoukas, Craig Robinson, and Sarah Silverman. I kind of lost respect for Craig Robinson after that I'm Quitting Comedy stunt. And then February 17th, Nicholas Braun, Ashley Park, and Ray Romano will be part of the cast. And it looks like this wraps up on March 8th.
Comedy stock market.
Did I ever reveal to you who that voice is? Okay, I will tell you now. It is officially licensed AI Burt Reynolds. Yes. One of the services I use made Burt Reynolds available. I'm like, okay, I'll use Burt Reynolds. That's fun. On the comedy stock market, if you're a new listener, what we do is we try and make some hypothetical money by selling high on comedians at their peak and buying low on comedians on their way up. And, we get some sells and some buys in the mix here. This week, pay attention. We're going to buy Tim Robinson. Have you watched The Chair Company on HBO? Why don't you hit pause right now on this podcast and go watch The Chair Company and then come back? I have a feeling that is going to be a very buzzy show. The first episode is fantastic. So we're going to buy Tim Robinson. We're also going to make a long-term buy here. We're going to start scooping up stock in the Scrubs reboot. I have been watching Scrubs, of course, on DVDs. I don't support fascism. I do not watch Disney Plus or Hulu. I support Jimmy Kimmel. I'm against fascism. I go upstairs and I get the DVD and I put them in the PlayStation 5, and that's how I consume my Scrubs. Anyway, they're working on the reboot. It's definitely happening. I've seen pictures of the cast at a table read, and I'll tell you, for a comedy snob like me, who has the Emperor of Rome syndrome where I don't laugh, I've been laughing out loud at Scrubs. It has aged fantastically. I cannot get enough of John C. McGinley as Dr. Cox. Let's buy some Scrub stock. Only one sell this week. We're going to sell Whitney Cummings for her just tasteless, terrible, how dare you comment saying that some comedians would be happy if a Fox journalist were murdered. Just how dare you, Whitney? I'm not doing a bit. I'm truly offended by her comment. Let's sell all our Whitney Cummings stock, and that is your comedy stock market for this week. The great dramatic actor Adam Sandler was in Columbus. He stopped by the Jerome Schottenstein Center. Why? To shoot some hoops. It's what he does. He was there visiting Ohio State. He spent some time with the Buckeyes in their home arena, took some photos with Coach Diebler. He did a brief interview with the local paper after his show, and he said, "Tell everybody I love them. I love Columbus." Eric Idle has dropped one of Monty Python's most controversial songs from his upcoming farewell tour. Idle said, "Sometimes I'll ask my daughter or goddaughter, I'll say, 'Can I say these things?' And they'll say, 'Yeah, that's okay,' or not. But I don't worry about being canceled. I'm not saying terribly controversial things. I'm just trying to make them laugh. If they don't laugh, then that's a failure." Eric Idle says, "You can't sing some of my songs now." He points out particularly, you can't sing "I Like Chinese." You can't do that anymore. So there's one or two songs, but I write new ones, which is quite a nice challenge. Now, what do I do here? Do I tell you what the offensive lyric is and get myself canceled? Or can I do this under the guise of news? "I Like Chinese" is from 1980, and it contains a lyric pair. "I like Chinese, they only come up to your knees." Eric Idle is no longer performing that song. Out today, audio version of Craig Ferguson's "I'm So Happy." Out today, audio version of Luke Heggie's "Have That." Also out today, audio version of Kai Humphrey's "Mischief." Also out today, the hour-long special Downey Wrote That on Peacock. Downey Wrote That dives into the sketches, contributions, and enduring influence of one of the most impactful comedy writers in the history of Saturday Night Live, Jim Downey, described as the show's behind-the-scenes comedic architect for over 3 decades. He was actually in the cast in 1980. That's the season nobody talks about. Some folks in this special include Fred Armisen, Dana Carvey, Darrell Hammond, David Letterman, Lovitz, Seth Meyers, Garrett Morris, John Mulaney, Lorraine Newman, Conan, Odenkirk, Lawrence O'Donnell, for some reason, Maya Rudolph, Molly Shannon, Martin Short, Smigel, Spade, Ben Stiller, Kenan Thompson, and Lorne Michaels. You didn't think this thing was happening without Lorne Michaels' blessing, did you? Are you in Cincinnati? Why don't you go hit Fun Filled, the 24-hour comedy revival? It starts tonight at 9 o'clock. It goes until tomorrow night at 9 o'clock at the Hofner Pub. Fun Filled will showcase nearly 24 local improv and entertainment acts like Comedy Sports, Smoke, and Queers Burlesque. And the members of Holy Cannoli, they are hosting this, and they were also the 2024 winners of the Cincinnati Improv Competition. So in last year's competition, the group's final surprise challenge was to perform until $5,000 was raised for charity or for 24 hours straight. Craig said, "When we first did it, we had no time to plan. It was something we were told like last minute, this is what you're doing. And we've been planning at this point, planning for like 2 months, and we still have a month to go. So we were like, all right, what if we could do the 24-hour challenge again, but had 3 months to actually really, really make it something special?" Proceeds for the event will go to the Esperanza Latino Center. Sounds like a fun event. Tiffany Haddish announced a show at the Orpheum Theater in L.A. Saturday, December 6th. We're told it is the first program of its kind fusing live entertainment and impact. Echo Entertainment is proud to stand at the intersection of culture and climate action. See, that's interesting. I'm a big climatista. And that is your comedy news on a feisty Friday. Tomorrow is going to be a little political, some political stories. I put them all together back to back to back, and I don't know what Sunday is yet, but let's meet back here in about 24 hours after you listen to me right now. Come back around then, and there'll be an episode. See you then.